What do you think about the connection between smart cities and these smart technologies? How we can create smart cities using these technologies?
My answer would be that a city can never claim to be smart. We talk about cities becoming smarter, right? It is an evolution. Usually starts with a seed, and as cities identify areas where technology can help them improve their infrastructure, their efficiency, and add those, then of course they're getting smarter. But it's a continuous improvement process, and nobody can sit back and say, okay, we're finished.
Welcome to the Smart Cities Council podcast and its special series with our global thought leaders. Smart Cities Council's global thought leadership team is an exclusive group of subject matter experts driving policy and standards, setting industry trends, conducting research, and building and sharing knowledge to advance our mission. My name is Fanny Melles. I am the global thought leader for youth engagement at the Smart Cities Council, and today I welcome Mark Verheyen to the podcast, who is the global thought leader for smart lighting and smart city technologies. Mark Verheyen has spent over 30 years managing companies in the global lighting and controls industry. The transition to LED technology opened the door to sophisticated lighting control solutions for both indoor and outdoor applications. Smart street lighting with network controls has been an ideal entry point to the smart cities ecosystem. And one of Mark's consulting areas of focus is to help cities and communities understand the differences between the wide range of solutions on offer and to select technologies that are not only suited to the requirements of today, but will remain reliable and future-proof for the years to come. Over the course of his career, Mark has lived and worked in Europe, Southeast Asia, and North America, and has a keen understanding of the differences between these markets. Mark's second area of consulting focus is to help technology companies with market entry strategies for overseas markets, and especially to avoid the common pitfalls of poorly prepared entry to the North American market. Mark is based in Colorado, USA, and has been involved with Smart Cities Council for over 3 years. He has recently accepted the position of Global Thought Leader for Smart Lighting and Smart City Technologies. Mark, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much, Fanny. Nice to be here, and thank you for having me.
And let's start with an easy question. What does smart lighting and smart city technologies mean?
To start with, smart lighting is lighting technology that is equipped with sensors, communications, and controls to allow automation, scheduling, and dimming is the main function of those controls. Usually it's for energy efficiency, but more recently it's also to do with comfort, user comfort, safety, and environmental considerations as well. In indoor applications, residential applications, smart lighting is usually connected to the home Wi-Fi. It allows you to control your lights through a smartphone app or through voice control, Alexa, Amazon Alexa, for instance, and you can then dim the lights, switch them on and off, and such kind of things. So very comfortable control. In public spaces or commercial or industrial applications, smart lighting is usually scheduled or connected to astronomical clocks. So they go on when it gets dark, they go off when it gets light again. But of course you need flexibility. You need to be able to change those settings remotely for special events or for safety reasons. And that's where smart lighting comes into play, especially in street lighting. That's an example that you find in cities all over the world. If the city can control the lighting or the police can control the lighting, that means that they can react quickly to emergency, to events, but the lights don't have to be on the whole time. So you're not using more energy than you really need to. So that was lighting. Smart cities technologies really are anything that includes smart communication, smart infrastructure and the Internet of Things to improve the experience of the city residents, to improve the efficiency of the infrastructure that is being provided by the city. The goal of smart technology is to improve the quality of life for residents, optimize the efficiency of city operations, and promote sustainability. Sustainability is a very big thing in the world where temperatures are rising, storms seem to be becoming more prevalent, flooding and tornadoes and everything we hear about every day. Cities have to be sustainable. There have to be ways to communicate with residents even after these disastrous events. And so all of this plays a big role in smart city technology. I can give you a couple of examples maybe. Smart infrastructure, we talk about water management, for instance, automatic leak detection to avoid water flowing and flooding areas for too long if a pipe breaks. Transportation is a classic one. Transportation management, managing traffic flows in cities, but also parking management, right? Helping people find a parking space quickly if it's available. It saves a lot of fuel consumption, it saves a lot of time, and has an environmental impact as a result. Then we have environmental monitoring, right? So air quality monitoring, waste management. So smart technology that tells the city when a trash can or a rubbish bin is full so that it will then be picked up. You don't have to have trucks rolling when there's nothing to pick up, for example. In the building space, cities are made up of buildings. So energy efficiency in buildings and automation in buildings is the trend that we're seeing more and more. Public safety, all right, surveillance, cameras, emergency response. This is a tremendously important part. People want to feel safe in the cities. Here in the US, of course, gunshots are a bigger subject. So part of smart cities technology can be gunshot detection sensors, right, that will alert the police to where an event happened very quickly in real time. They don't have to wait for somebody to call in, right, to react. This is another example. So all of these things are designed to make citizens feel more comfortable in a city, but citizen engagement is tremendously important. So there are also technologies designed to enhance citizen engagement, right? So online platforms, apps that the city provides, alert systems. Communication has to be two-way. The city wants to get feedback from the residents if something's not working or if something needs to be improved, but also the city needs to get information to the residents about emergencies that might be happening or about events that are being provided. So real-time information and engagement is tremendously important. And all of these types of technology form a part of smart cities technology.
I will be a bit cheeky and poke around because you mentioned many individual technologies, which can be said that these are smart technologies. What makes a city smart? Because smart cities can get the critique that it's just smart bins, it's just smart lighting. When something smart technology is applied to a city, someone can say that, oh, this is a smart city. And the user will say that, no, it's just smart lighting, not diminishing the effect of smart lighting, but it doesn't necessarily make the city smart. What do you think about the connection between smart cities and these smart technologies? How we can create smart cities using these technologies?
My answer would be that a city can never claim to be smart. We talk about cities becoming smarter, right? It is an evolution. Usually starts with a seed. My area of expertise in smart lighting is often the first implementation of smart cities technology, but that's just a start. And as cities identify areas where technology can help them improve their infrastructure, their efficiency, and add those, then of course they're getting smarter. But it's a continuous improvement process, and nobody can sit back and say, okay, we're finished. And so that's the interesting part. There are some cities, of course, that started very early and are really embracing the movement and becoming smarter in introducing these technologies very quickly. Other ones take more time, of course. But every city would be well advised to not try to implement technologies just to be smart. They really need to solve problems and help their specific situation. Then they are being smart about the implementation of smart technology.
I really like this evolutionary nature you are talking about, because as a future of cities researcher, I completely believe that cities evolve with us humans, and if a city doesn't evolve, then it becomes dead because it can't serve the changing needs of cities, of citizens living in them. Now, okay, we discussed that a city cannot be smart. It needs to be smarter, continuously evolving. But on the other side of the spectrum is smart technology. And smart city technology can be also questioned. What do you mean by technology? Because for me, technology is a wider understanding. Technology means, for me, science and knowledge applied to solve problems, not just the digital technology itself. What does technology mean to you?
Technology is a combination of hardware and a lot of software and data crunching, right? So in order for a city to understand its problems, it needs to collect information and collect data. That can be direct feedback from the residents, which of course very important, but it can also be through sensors. It can be through cameras. It can be through traffic sensors showing the flow of traffic. All of these things are important, and that data gets collected, but just collecting it doesn't make you any smarter. You've got to do something with it. You've got to work out, what does this data mean? And then the third part of it is you've got to react to it in real time, right? So you've got to be able to use this data to understand problems and then to react to those problems. Sometimes it's not possible in real time. Sometimes you're working out what is the problem, and then you're identifying a technology to help you to solve this problem, or a change or something like that. But sometimes you've got to smart city applications where you have a reaction capability, right? You can, in real time, with the support of computers, you can make immediate improvements to traffic flows, for instance, and then you are really solving the problems. So often it's, you collect data, you crunch the data, you analyze it, and then you put a plan together. That can take years, and it's very important. But the ideal situation is if that data can be turned around to make changes and improvement, then you really have a smart system. So technology is hardware, software, and it's fine-tuned for every individual city. No city is the same, and every city has to fine-tune their systems. One thing on this subject, however, that is very important, and this is the subject of interoperability. So generally, the cities that have sort of been early adopters and picked up on different smart technologies, these technologies are developed by different companies, different providers. They are often standardized or interoperable. And so the result is that a city will have a traffic management system, a street lighting system, and they could all be independent of each other, which is fine for a start, but is missing a tremendous opportunity. The opportunity is that these systems can share information with each other and work together in a meaningful and positive way, but also if the systems are interoperable, it provides benefits for the city over the lifetime of the installation. It means that the city is not necessarily dependent on the one provider, but could take parts from other providers. It means that the reliability of a system, the possibility of adding to the system becomes much easier if systems are interoperable. So that's something in my practice, when I'm talking to people about smart city systems, I try to make them aware of the importance of asking for interoperability and asking the supplier to prove interoperability, because the cities have the purchasing power. And if they demand, if they ask for it, the suppliers will give it to them. If they don't ask for it, then the suppliers would rather keep their own systems and have a secured income for the next 20 years.
I really like this interoperability because indeed it is very important that one system can talk to the other. And if an emergency is there is an emergency event, then they can talk to each other without too much of a hassle, or just making our life easier and making bureaucracy less of a hassle. But you also mentioned that this data helps us react better. Now, I would like to ask you whether these smart technologies are helping us become reactive, or at some point they can help us become proactive.
So what we discussed just now was an example of reactiveness that is clear, setting up and reacting to situations. Proactiveness, of course, I think there you're referring to the opportunities with digital twins, right? Which very closely into smart cities technologies, because if a city is planning to do expensive roadworks or do some building or change some infrastructure, cities are extremely complex models, and it's very difficult for the planning departments to know exactly what the effects of closing roads is going to be throughout, a period of time. And so part of smart cities technology and linked to this is the ability to, with the data that is being collected, to create digital models, right? And then to run scenarios through these digital models so that if work needs to be done or if some major event is going to happen, these scenarios can be run in advance, the results can be seen and optimized, and therefore proactively avoiding potential problems. There are some good examples of cities that are already doing this. A lot of time for city planning and building and road management, but often also for, emergency events, right? In Florida, city of Orlando is employing digital twins, for instance, to run scenarios about what happens if you need to evacuate because a hurricane is coming, right? This happens in that area. They are also modeling the traffic through growth in the outskirts of the cities and what are the scenarios for traffic coming in and out of the cities. And this enables them to prepare in advance of the problems happening. So it was a very good point of yours. The proactiveness is, of course, way better than reactiveness. They go hand in hand depending on what the situation is.
Your enthusiasm and expertise come through your answers. So it would be lovely to know what has been your journey towards this area and why have you arrived to smart lighting and smart cities technology?
Okay, I would say it's partly through luck, or a lot through luck, and not so much by design. I started my lighting career in 1991, so 33 years ago, and back then there was no talk of smart cities or smart cities technology. Lighting technology improvements were all about energy savings, was all about getting more light per watt of energy used. So, we can remember maybe compact fluorescent lamps and energy saving solutions. The problem with all of these is that, yes, they were energy saving, but they were very hard to control, right? The dimming was often not possible, or it took a long time for them to warm up after they were switched on, which means switching on and off is a problem. So, but that was the best technology available then. And then in the early 2000s, the performance of LEDs became good enough to start implementing in general lighting solutions. And LEDs, the nature of LEDs is great because not only are they very energy efficient, but they are also very easy to control. You can dim them well. You can switch them on and off immediately. With certain technologies, there's color changing options. So all of a sudden, the controls market, which was really before that only for special applications like theater and filmmaking and things like that, all of a sudden, controls became something that people could implement in their homes and in public applications and cities and offices. And so from being somebody promoting and selling lighting technology, I sort of changed or merged into lighting and controls technology with sort of a natural evolution. And then when, street lighting started changing to LED, that was around 2007, 2008, that street lighting started having enough performance for LED. Then there was an opportunity. As cities started to change out their sodium lamps and put in LED fixtures, there was an opportunity for a very small marginal cost to add sophisticated controls. And some of the cities were very keen on this because it gave them energy efficiency plus comfort benefits and safety benefit that they could offer to their community. So, as I said, it was a bit through luck. All of a sudden, through street lighting controls, that was their first implementation in what we would call a smart city technology. From there, then it was the question of, what else can one do with these street lighting poles? Street lighting poles are spread evenly throughout the city. They have a benefit. They're tall. You can hang things on them, but they also have electricity. So they're the ideal platform for other sensors, other equipment that would be otherwise hard to deploy in the city. So, traffic noise monitoring, air quality monitoring, all of these things can be attached to streetlight poles, can be powered through them, and can communicate back. And theoretically, and this is something we're pushing for, you could develop a single communication network in the city that is used for all of these technologies communicating back to the central hub and providing data. Right now, often there are different communication technologies for all of the different technologies. And some are going through 5G cellular networks, some are going through Wi-Fi, some are going through Bluetooth and LoRaWAN and all the technologies out there. But this is very inefficient and is very difficult to maintain. If you could get to a situation where you chose one communication platform that is widespread throughout the city and is being used to transport all of this data, that would be a great interoperable solution.
Interoperability, you have mentioned previously as an opportunity, but we will first discuss the challenges. What are the biggest challenges you see in this area?
The challenges are the differences between the companies that provide these technologies, often startups, often technology companies. Technology is moving very quickly and improving very quickly. And then on the other side, the customers, the cities, these are public organizations. They can't just make a decision like that usually to go and buy something. They have to go to tender. They have to find out all the information. They feel that they have to test, do a pilot installation to test and prove that everything works as the supplier is saying it will work. Pilot installations usually last at least a year, sometimes longer. So the result is that these projects that are, beneficial for everybody involved can sometimes take 4, 5, up to 10 years to implement. So there's a lot of wastage happening in the process, right? And in the time that a city might be able to make their decision, the technology might have moved on already, and they're sort of always playing catch up. So that's definitely one of the biggest challenges. Also, the issue of lack of standardization and interoperability is a big challenge. It's a big challenge for the cities because they don't want to specify a technology where they're totally dependent on one provider. They want to make sure they have choices. They want to make sure that the technology is going to be around so that as they expand through the city, these projects usually don't get implemented all at once, right? I mean, street lighting, city of Los Angeles is 250,000 streetlights, right? No city can change those all at once, right? So they do region by region, and it can be a 10-year project. So you've got to be sure that technology is going to be available in 10 years. All of these are challenges that the city managers have, and challenges lead to opportunities. The opportunities are that we find a way together to help the cities make those decisions maybe without having to do pilots, because they can rely on pilots that were done by another city somewhere else, right? They can rely on existing historical experience. They have a good picture of what technologies are available, what the suitability is for a certain environment, and can therefore, without taking a big risk, can make a quicker decision for the benefit of everyone, because the efficiency and the benefits are implemented quicker. So this is something that I see an opportunity. Smart Cities Council sees this as a target, right? Bringing providers and cities together, having open discussions, giving the city the opportunity to find out about these technologies, in an informal way, without it being a formal tender, and then to, when they issue a tender, right, when they issue a request for offer, they know a lot more information in advance, right, and can make it more specific for their requirement. So that's where I see Smart Cities Council adding a lot of benefit to the process, right? It's not always just technology. There's also policy that has to be adjusted and changed to the new environment.
What would you recommend for someone who wants to learn more about this area?
It's an interesting question because it's a very wide subject, right? And is somebody really interested in specific technologies? Are they interested in understanding how to do an implementation? What are the traps and pitfalls? There are many things. I'd say Smart Cities Council is a good place to start, right? I mean, the readiness guide that Smart Cities Council put together 5-6 years ago is still a very, very relevant document to show how complex the subject, of smart cities is, but also to give a lot of examples of cities that have successfully implemented technologies. And it really goes across a very broad spectrum. So I found it very interesting reading myself, and I think anyone who wants to get a good basic foundation in the subject should read that. It's, I think, 64 pages or something. There's quite a lot, but it's well written and interesting. We at Smart Cities Council are also, of course, putting together an online education program that will have an introductory level and a more proficient level, and then a sort of an expert level. And that will help people get a real understanding of what it takes to either implement smart cities projects or to provide technologies to cities, right? I mean, it works both ways. Personally, I attend a lot of trade shows and conventions because we're talking about a relatively new subject. I mean, smart cities technologies started coming around 12, 15 years ago, but the subject of smart cities is still relatively new. Everyone is learning. And the most important thing is that the technology companies need to listen to the cities, and the cities need to listen and talk to the technology companies. So these trade shows, conventions are very valuable, and they attract all of the people who are interested in this field. So that's really my recommendation, a combination of study and online learning, but also being in the field and talking to people.
Mark, you have been very generous with your time and answers. Do you have any closing comments or requests?
I'd say it's more of a comment. When we talk about smart cities, it's really important to say the whole purpose of this is to benefit the residents of the city, right? These technologies should not be implemented just so the city can say, we've got it, right? If it's not adding a benefit to the people in the community, then it was a waste of time or money. We are implementing technologies in our own homes. We're using cell phone apps to control the thermostats, control lighting, security, all of these things. So it is perfectly reasonable and normal for us to demand that our cities also start to implement technology to improve the efficiencies. That's a clear demand, but it has to be there to improve the quality of life of the residents. Continual improvement, it has to start somewhere. Usually it starts when there is a mayor or someone who says, this is interesting, I want to do something different, and will put together a team of people responsible for making decisions and finding something, and then it grows from there. It will only grow if there is good feedback from the people, right? And the feedback has to come in advance on the one side. So the city has to keep the residents informed about what's happening, because otherwise there is a risk that the residents will not trust the improvements and there will be problems. So there's that feedback loop, but then the residents have to also give input and support to the city leader to say, yes, we like what's happening and please do more, right? And help us become efficient. And we're seeing that in some of the bigger cities, the resident, London, Singapore, the residents are proud of the reputation the city is getting through some of these technologies. They're proud of the things they can do, the fact the traffic flows better, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a two-way thing. It's a continuous cycle between the residents and the city. Nobody can do it on their own. And that means that every one of us should be getting involved in some way, right? If you live in a small community, it doesn't matter. There are still technologies that can help the small communities and big cities. We often feel that we're on our own in the jungle and we have no influence. But that's not true. That's not true. The people who do get involved get a lot of benefit, and the city leaders are usually, or should be, very open to showing the projects they're working on and the things they're doing, and it's tremendously interesting.
Thank you so much, Mark. If you want to learn more about Mark, links will be provided in the show notes, and the Smart Cities Council website can inform you even more. What have you learned from this interview? What questions do you have after listening to Mark? What would you like to know more about? Let us know on the Smart Cities Council website or on LinkedIn. Look out for other episodes with the global thought leaders or topical discussions. And thanks for tuning in.